Hey guys, Adam here, and welcome to another episode of On the Couch Rewind. And so, in anticipation of the eventual anal rape of my childhood, because of Michael Bay, I will be looking back at the movies that I watched as a child. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. How does it hold up? I still fucking love it. I still love the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. For many reasons. Nostalgia being one of them. But it's a movie that could have failed. This is a movie that had a lot riding on it, and it could have failed. Just horribly. This just, and hilariously, it could have failed. Because how can you take a movie, how can you take a concept like 4 mutated turtles who are teenagers and ninjas seriously? How can you do that? This did it very well. Whereas like a lot of people have been really mostly at that time only been exposed to the Turtles through the cartoon, this actually gave us a decent exposure to that of the comics as well, which are a lot darker than the cartoon was, and I mean a hell of a lot darker. This first movie is really based off of some of the storylines of this, really of the comics, which you could probably figure out. Which, if you've read it, you know what the storylines are. But I'll go ahead and give the plot anyway. New York is getting hit with a crime wave, and no one knows what is happening. So our only heroes are 4 adolescent turtles who know ninjutsu. So with the help of April O'Neil and Casey Jones, they must band together as brothers to defeat the Foot Clan and the evil, mysterious Shredder. I'll say this, it's a product of its time. It really is. It's very 90s, but I look back on it with very, very fond memories. Just how well it's done for a movie that's independently made. This wasn't produced by really any major studios. This was an independent film. Well, I mean, it was distributed by New Lines, but before that it was, of course, independently made. This is a really dark and gritty movie. I mean, it's still lighthearted. It's still a very, very, very lighthearted movie. But the opening scene is of New York during the day, and there's just this crime wave going on. It is still very gritty looking. This is a very gritty looking New York. The people who made this movie did not shy away from the fact that they weren't just going to redo the cartoons. They had to make this like the comics. And they did. They did a really good job on that. They didn't just, this was geared towards kids. This is a kid's movie. But they knew that parents were going to go see this, and they wanted them to feel like they weren't just wasting their goddamn time. So they definitely made it for adults as well. Really today this would have gotten a solid PG-13 at or I mean, this would have been a very petty PG, light PG-13 today. This really would have. Which I'm still glad I got PG. So I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I am not a fan of CGI turtles, as you guys know. But that's mostly because I look at these movies and I see what the Jim Henson Company did with the turtles, and it's just fan-fucking-tastic. How they're able to make a bunch of dudes in what should have been really clumsy suits be able to do the shit that they can do is amazing. It really, really is. Okay, so the suits haven't exactly, or the animatronics haven't exactly aged well. I mean, you look back on it and you like, okay, you can tell where the lips kind of aren't moving and whatnot. But you know what? It's a fuck ton better looking than what Michael Bay's got pulled out of his ass. I mean, those things look fucking terrifying. These at least look like fucking turtles. Cartoonishly, but they at least look like fucking turtles. I can't actually believe these guys are real. And another thing is how well these things can display emotion. For animatronics, they can display emotion again very, very well. This is some amazing emotion that they're putting in this movie. Which again makes it even more believable, especially during the brother moments. The chemistry between the turtles is great. I mean, not just because of the voice acting, but because of the people, the suit actors, the stunt actors who are in the suits do an excellent job in helping the voices really make it believe that these guys can exist in our world. It's that fucking good. I can't praise the suits enough. The suits are really, really good. Hell, even Splinter's suit is good. It's like, you can believe this is a dirty old rat. You really can. Holy shit, I actually got the Cagney joke. God, 20 fucking years and it took me to finally understand the James Cagney impersonation joke April said. God damn it, I'm slow. Also, but I mean, and of course, April. I want to go ahead and get April out of the way. I like Judith Hoag as April. Because she does it very well. She portrays April very fucking well. She doesn't look like April. She doesn't look like April because April's this young, smoking hot babe. I mean, Judith Hoag is not an unattractive woman. She's not. She's not April. She doesn't look like April. Now, again, acting-wise, personality-wise, she is April O'Neil. She does a very good job in being that smart, spunky, determined reporter with attitude, and she can hold her own. She's able to she can stand on her own. She's not afraid to fight back. I mean, she needs saving, but you know what? That's always been a thing for April. And I love that. I love that about April. I love that about this portrayal of April. It's really good. And Casey Jones. What can you say about Elias Codius, who is doing nothing more than a 90s version of Robert De Niro and Taxi Driver? That's all you're getting from this. He's Robert De Niro and Taxi Driver. That's it. If it was Robert De Niro, you would have this would have been an R. This would have been a hard fucking R. This really would have. Holy shit. Oh god. But I really do like Casey Jones in this. Casey Jones is a lot of fun in this. He is one of my favorite characters in the comics and cartoons. He's one of my favorite characters in these movies. I love Casey Jones. Shredder is fucking intimidating in this movie. He really fucking is. Like, when he's first introduced, he's just in shadow, and then you hear his voice, and you're like, I just shit my pants. And then when he finally enters into the room, again, just shadow. You see his shadow walking towards everybody. Holy shit. He's just fucking intimidating. He really is. And he's a 5'8" Japanese guy, and he can still probably kill me with just a glance. Shredder's one of the greatest villains of all time. Because he gives the turtles so much shit. He really knows how to break the turtles apart. I love Shredder so much. I really do. He's a character that doesn't need change. That really doesn't. You can keep him the same and it wouldn't matter because he's that fucking good. He's that fucking memorable. He's definitely not a product of his time. He really isn't. God, I'm trying to think now. Some of the other characters, though, I could have done without, or they could have changed their story around. Like, the police chief, they were trying to play him off as incompetent, but I really couldn't see it. I couldn't see him as being incompetent. He didn't come off as incompetent. He come off as he knows what's going on, but I feel like he was being paid off. Like, he's a dirty cop. That's what I was thinking. But they didn't make it that way. They didn't make it that way, and that was kind of disappointing. That would have been kind of cool. Is that he was a dirty cop. That Shredder, that he knows about Shredder, he just wasn't being played. He was just he knew about Shredder. He just was being paid not to admit anything. The April's boss and his son, I don't know. I think I could have done... I know what they were trying to do. They're trying to draw parallels between Danny and his dad, and Splinter and the Turtles, and Shredder saying he's everyone's father because the world rejects them. I don't know. Like, the father wasn't in it. I mean, he's in it, but he's not in it as much to where you kind of give a shit. Really. You probably could have done something with Danny a little more. I don't know. You probably could have. You could have made him just... You could have just made him a kid who April knew, but who was really troubled because he had no family or something. I don't know. You could have done something like that. That could have probably been better. And now, the piece of resistance. The star of our movie, Sam Rockwell. Yeah, you fuckers didn't know Sam Rockwell was in this movie, did ya? This was his first major role. Or, well, I mean, this was his third movie, but this was his first really big movie role. And it's not just like a bit part. He's in a good chunk of the movie with just a few lines. He's basically like he's basically kind of the recruiter, the foot recruiter. He's the guy that like persuades everybody, hey, yeah, this is what you can do. You can do whatever you want. Blah blah blah. He gets a good chunk of the he gets a good good like some decent amount of lines. And hell, he's even in like one of the opening scenes as one of the guys that mugs April and gets their asses kicked. Although I want to know how he got away. Still, I think the police chief is dirty. Yeah, he's in it. He's fuck it was like hell. He's probably in his late teens, early 20s at that time. Damn, it's been that long. So also I want to say like one other thing that you don't get a lot in kind of kids movies these days, or you get but you don't get enough, is how dark and gritty. Well, like I said, this movie is pretty dark and gritty, but the cinematography is great. The cinematography in this is fantastic. You don't get that a lot in kids movies. You really don't, because they just shoot, they point and shoot. They don't like really let you get a feel for this movie. Because it's supposed to be a kids movie, so of course it's going to be half-assed. But they really put some effort into the cinematography. The cinematography is great. The lighting is great. The atmosphere of this movie is fucking great. I really do like how they do that. But it's also still very humor, very funny. Because of the turtles. Like, again, how the hell are you going to take something like that seriously? Now, this movie was taken very seriously. This movie was indeed a very serious film. But it's still funny. I mean, all of the turtles are funny. Michelangelo being the funniest, which is great. You just can't help but enjoy the turtles' humor. Again, their chemistry is fantastic. Their chemistry with April and Casey is great. These guys could have just really been laughing their asses off looking at these dudes in suits, but they did it because they knew how serious it was being taken. They knew how well it was being taken, how much effort was put into this movie. This movie is great. I really fucking love this movie. Yeah, is it dated? Yeah, it's a product of its time. But you can still watch it for nostalgia reasons, because it's great nostalgia reasons. Fantastic nostalgia nostalgia reasons. It really is. I would still show this to my kid. I would show this to my kids. I really would. With that said, final score for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the movie is an 8 out of 10. I love this movie so much. I really do. I grew up with this movie. I continue to grow up with this movie. I hope one day my kids will grow up with this movie. First, I need some kids. And I highly recommend it for anyone who's a turtle fan. If or any parent who wants to introduce their kids to the Ninja Turtles, this is what I would recommend. I would recommend Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the movie. I really, really would. It is that great. I'll see you guys next time on my next rewind when we look back at the sequels. Bye.